You are seen, deeply and completely, by energies of pure love. A message is waiting for you about the quiet earthquake of your existence. You genuinely do not grasp the scale of what your being here has set in motion. The effects travel far below the level of daily interaction, into the foundations of souls around you. By doing nothing more than living as your true self, you have rearranged atmospheres. You have loosened chains you never saw. Your essence didn't just enter someone's thoughts, it restarted a heart that had gone dormant. It initiated a spiritual domino effect that cannot be stopped. The universe registered this. Your core felt the tremor. And the realignment that happened was undeniable, spoken or unspoken. It required only a single, unadorned fact concerning you to emerge. Merely one. That lone clarity proved sufficient to tilt an entire reality off its axis. In a flash of genuine sight, their entire framework for you collapsed. The familiar lenses of judgment and story fell away. For the first time, they observed with a vision that could finally comprehend. Their look gentled, heavy with the significance of the sight before them. They had unearthed a fact they were not equipped to handle. That you are rare, you are significant, and you are irreplaceable. They perceived the holy, guarded, and destined quality of your spirit. That knowledge, once absorbed, altered them forever. Their previous certainty was an illusion. They had categorized your compassion as a simple trait, confused your endurance for fragility, read your quiet as apathy, and called your profound nature excessive. They thought your capacity to love was standard. They missed the entire point. They failed to witness the tears of brilliance you contain, the formidable power you bear in serenity, or the devoted communion within your chest. They were unaware of the guidance in your calm, the way tranquility is your shadow, or how your arrival can settle a room. They did not understand the celestial guard around you until this moment. A door unlocked. A balance tipped. A fundamental reality was uncovered. When the divine makes something known, it does so with unmistakable brightness. It delivers understanding and removes doubt. It strips away fabrication and dismantles fantasies. This truth regarding your nature did not come to condemn them, but to crack them apart. It brought them to their knees. It served as a gentle quake, shaking the dust from their own vision so they could witness the radiant landscape of your spirit, and in doing so, remember a light within themselves. A narrative they clung to has now collapsed. This leaves them not in ruin, but in awe. A new sight is dawning. You are inscribed with purpose, distinguished, and shielded. Understanding is washing over them. They perceive that your whispered prayers held tangible gravity. They see that your sorrow was not spilled in vain, but was seeding a future. They recognize that your suffering followed a sacred pattern, leading to a resilience they are only now meeting. The map of scars across your spirit tells of wars they never entered. You navigated terrains foreign to them, bearing loads not meant for their shoulders. From this new vantage point, your fortitude appears in its true form, not as a sudden storm, but as a lasting climate. Your devotion reveals itself not as a fleeting feeling, but as a permanent pledge. At last, they witness your wholeness, the complete spectrum. The tenderness alongside the unwavering blaze. The vulnerability paired with an inner pillar. The boundless empathy existing with a grounded sovereignty. A protector and a peacemaker, sharing one home within your chest. It leaves them astonished. They hadn't anticipated such evidence of the divine in your walk. They didn't foresee that your affection would become a harbor. They didn't predict your essence would serve as a canopy. They never imagined a journey like yours could hold this caliber of gentle, formidable force. Yet now, awareness settles. And once a fact of this nature is integrated, It resists removal. It becomes indelible. Their silence is born from this. It is not apathy. It is not emptiness. They are hushed because they are inundated. Their pulse is thunder. Their mind is a swift river. Their very core is reconstructing itself. Clarity came like a keen edge not to harm them, but to liberate them from vanity, justification, and pretense. It laid bare the genuine article and discarded every counterfeit version. Now, they dwell in the aftermath. Recollection visits them. Occasions they dismissed. Days they minimized you. Choices where they selected withdrawal over connection, comfort over courage. Past moments where you felt overlooked now press upon them, for insight has retroactively altered their density. They are undergoing a quiet revolution within. Not always with formal speeches, but in the currency of remorse, in surrendered pride, in the stark comprehension of a treasure they once undervalued. But remember, this kindness holds the final pen. This is not the closing chapter. It is the opening act of a restoration you did not author. Your instruction is simply to remain planted. Stay constant. Abide in your assurance. Do not pursue. Do not plead. Do not labor to justify. For in this season, the undeniable reality of your being is accomplishing what your arguments never did. They sought rest, but it eluded them. They tried to divert their focus, but every path led back. Your identity reverberated. Your memory of voice surfaced in the void. Your imprint re-emerged in fragments of time once deemed insignificant, now glowing with meaning. Your assignment is to continue breathing, anchored in your truth. The revelation is now the advocate. The awakening is completing its own flawless course. Even from afar, your love has been a salve, mending a wound in them that was beyond their own reach. They might have always had a feeling you were different. Now, they are coming to know you are sacred. They are learning you carry a divine blessing. They are learning you are clothed in intention. They are learning your heart was safeguarded for a purpose. And faced with this, they feel a humble reverence. They question how they were blind to it, though they looked upon something consecrated and saw only the common. An awakening of this nature alters a person's foundation. They once believed it was mere attraction. Now, they sense it is a covenant. They once thought you were just a passerby in their story. Now, you feel like a vow. They once assumed they held the reins, that they could dim or brighten this bond, step forward or retreat at will. Now, they understand this is not a casual thread. This is providence. This is by heavenly blueprint, and that knowledge has unsettled their very being. A hallowed quiet rests between you now. But quiet is not emptiness. It is the sound of a new foundation being laid. They are being led. They are being adjusted. They are being remade. And your waiting is not pointless. You are being readied, too. Not to make yourself smaller, but to occupy your full stature. A space is being cleared so you will not have to fold yourself to fit. This is not a retreat to old ground to relive old wounds. This is a reclamation of what is to come. This is about divine alignment, not human memory. This is about truth being upheld, not bypassed. You need not manufacture this moment. Allow them their struggle. Allow them their confrontation. Allow what is brittle to fracture. Allow their return only when it can be done with integrity. Your patience was not passivity, it was potency. Your silence was not weakness, it was wisdom. Your waiting was not idle, it was an offering. You felt unseen, but the heavens witnessed it all. And now, at last, their eyes are open. They are recalling the quality of your love, unfiltered and true. They are recalling how you lifted them in their dusk, how you offered sanctuary when the world offered none. They are realizing it wasn't your charisma that altered them. It was your consistency. It wasn't your form. It was your faithfulness. It wasn't your glance. It was your grace. They believed they needed distance. What they needed was clarity. They thought they wanted an escape. What they needed was an epiphany. And now, they are being liberated. Not to flee, but to finally arrive. Free to be authentic. Free to be bowed, not in shame, but in honor. Free to approach not with old confusion, but with a new and lasting reverence. Do not be afraid of this quiet season. Do not resent the pause. Some of destiny's most important work happens without a sound. Often, the most profound connections are assembled in private, so that when they step into the light, they are unshakable. The announcement has been made. The universe has taken note. What has been set in motion by a power greater than you cannot be stopped. What has been seen cannot be forgotten. What is destined will navigate its own path through awakening, through healing, through surrendered pride, and through a timing that cannot be rushed. The noise of their ego is finally fading. The fist of their pride is slowly opening. The wall that once seemed so solid is now softening. And none of this is because you fought or pleaded or tried to control the ending. It is softening because a profound peace has settled over the entire story. A quiet, sovereign peace that does not need to explain itself. A peace that simply is, and in its being, speaks the final word. That peace is now their compass. It is turning them gently toward what they once turned from. It is echoing a memory of something real that existed before fear wrote its own version. This peace is guiding them home. And though they may not yet admit it, every road within that journey leads back to the truth of you. What is unfolding within them now is not messy emotion. It is clean, clear sight. They are seeing with lenses no longer clouded by self-protection. The distractions they once chased now feel hollow. The substitutes they tried to place where you belonged carried no substance, no depth, no anchor. The chaos they used to mute the truth has lost its volume. Now, the silence is thunderous. They are starting to comprehend that what they were fighting wasn't confinement or demand. It was integrity. It was steadfastness. It was a love that asked for nothing but the truth in return. And that caliber of love can feel startling to a heart not yet ready to face its own reflections. They are not returning out of obligation. They are being drawn by a deep, resonant knowing. An inner part of them is finally nodding in agreement with what their soul recognized from the very start. This silent agreement is rewiring them slowly, thoroughly, forever. Now, in the quiet, they are revisiting. Moments they hurried past. Words they only half heard. Kindnesses they took for granted. Patience they assumed was infinite. They are seeing the grace you offered when you had every right to be sharp. The loyalty you held when it came at a personal price. The steadiness you maintained even from a place of your own pain. And within this clarity, a final realization is dawning. This was never a simple bond. This was never a surface-level exchange. This was something far more rare. This was something extraordinary, and the quiet echo of that truth is leading them to a humbling question: how did I miss this? How did I fail to recognize something so pure? That very question is lowering their defenses and softening their spirit. While this is unfolding for them, something equally significant is happening within you. You are being elevated to a higher ground inside your own Sula place of deeper grace, more resilient patience, firmer self-respect, and a love that knows how to hold its own sacred space. You are no longer the person who waited in uncertainty. You have become steadier, stronger. You learned to stop seeking clarity from the outside and instead became a source of it. You didn't fight on their terms. You didn't wrestle with words to prove your value. You stood firm. You remained rooted. You chose inner peace over outward reaction. That choice held a power you are only now beginning to understand. What is now moving toward you is not insignificant. It is not a casual apology. It is not a hesitant, half-step back. It is not words without weight. What is being built is restoration. The kind that arrives only when someone stops trying to protect their image and starts honoring what is true. It comes when truth has finished its quiet work and pride has finally stepped aside. They are being remade from the inside. No longer confused, but clear. No longer divided, but whole. No longer merely curious, but genuinely committed. The truth did more than inform them, it rewired how they see, how they decide, and how they love. They feel the gravity of what was nearly lost, not as a burden of shame, but as a sobering lift into reverence. They grieve the mishandling of something sacred. They see now how they mistook depth for convenience and treated a lasting presence as something replaceable. This awareness is tenderizing them. Distractions have lost their pull. Old patterns feel hollow. Superficial ties no longer spark interest. Once truth takes root, deception loses its appeal. Once clarity dawns, pretense becomes a tiresome chore. They are beginning to perceive you as you truly are. Your laughter feels like a place of peace. Your gaze feels like safety. Your silence, once misunderstood, now speaks of strength. They see now, you weren't cold, you were guarded. You weren't distant, you were discerning. You weren't hard to love, you were hard to take for granted. They are recognizing all you carried in silence. How often you could have left with bitterness, but chose to stay in grace. How many times you selected prayer over payback, restraint over revelation, kindness over collateral damage. They are finally seeing that quality of love for what it is, rare, resilient, and revolutionary. And it is transforming them. You did not force this shift. You did not chase this outcome. You did not stage this return. You trusted. You waited. You healed. And now, life itself is aligning in response. Yes. Their return is not a blur of haste or a retreat of fear. It is a deliberate turning. A conscious reorientation. They are coming back slowly, not rushing, but not running. They are preparing. Choosing words not to dazzle you, but to dignify the truth. Not to explain away the past, but to acknowledge their part in it. There is a nervousness in them, but it is not confusion. There is a trembling, but there is no turning back. They now hold a new fear. The fear of losing you has finally become greater than their fear of making mistakes. They would rather try humbly and do it right, than succeed perfectly in the lie of not caring. That is the shift. That is the change. And as this unfolds, you are asked to remain not stuck, but positioned. Steady. Calm. Aligned. Do not let old anxiety rush you forward. Do not let sudden doubt pull you from your peace. The very stillness that was your shelter is now your preparation. They are waking now with you etched upon their awareness, not as a daydream, but as a memory their soul preserved even when their mind tried to dismiss it. They are understanding, at last, that you were never just a chapter in their story. You were a compass. You were an anchor. You were a landing place. This is no longer about pursuit or persuasion. This is about completion. Truth endures. Truth rebuilds. Truth returns what is meant to return, not as it was, but as it was always meant to be. Changed. So, breathe. You are not forgotten. You are not behind schedule. You were not naive for keeping faith. The posture you held in the quiet was not a waste. The peace you cultivated became the very beacon that guided them home. And when they arrive, it will not be in confusion, but in clarity. Not with games, but with intention. Not with excuses, but with action. Not with uncertainty, but with a quiet, knowing commitment. The waiting is nearing its purpose. Stand in the certainty you've earned.